afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I'm gonna blow you away. No, that's... We'll do it this way. The valve's longer. How we doing? We're good, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Feels like I should have done something else. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. Welcome back to Rin Furniture. Today I am going to pull the veil off. That was a really terrible joke. I'm going to show you some of the struggles that I have had on one particular project. A relatively simple piece of furniture, I guess you could call it, and all of the ideas and struggles that I had. This is part one, and I'm guessing there's actually quite a number of parts. So buckle up. If you're in a car, pull over to the side and then unbuckle and relax. But if you're at home, grab a nice drink and hope you enjoy this video. Today we are working on some sort of armrest protector. Setup is different. I've got just different cameras, just trying this to see how this goes. I'm talking for absolutely no real reason. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut down some pieces of wood. Gotta have that drink. I'm getting into the habit of every time I start up the miter saw, I check it for square. It's quite an important thing to do. Oh, I need these sunglasses on. It's too sharp. Okay, what were we saying? 380? 380. Oh, by the way, if you're not subscribed to my channel, maybe now's a good time to hit that old subscribe button. And while you're at it, give it a bit of a like. Thanks. I start using some rough pieces of wood to make a small, kind of like open-ended box. It doesn't take too long to make this mock-up. It's essentially nearly exactly the same as the thing that I'm going to make. Keep that in mind. So this is the template that I've just made. This little thing here goes over the armrest, but as you can see, it kind of moves around a bit. I need to make it tighter in here, and I've just got a little cat down here who wants some love. Don't quite know what to do about that. Maybe I angle this side in so it tightens up. This cat is crazy. It's Henry. He's the accountant. He was at our Christmas party, if you missed it. Simply too wide. Now I put this in here. There's another piece I put in there. I think I might take that out and then see how that goes. I disassemble it and then I take out that short little piece, put it all back together and test to see if it is going to fit. I tried it on the sofa and it was quite a tight fit. I really didn't want it to rock side to side because I'm going to put like coffee or tea on there. You don't want it to spill. Okay, well that worked. That distance there, which is 15 I think, is all good. So we will carry on working out how to make that fit the wood we've got. What, I don't even know what I'm measuring out here. Hopefully it becomes clearer. So here I'm measuring out the pieces of hardwood that I'm going to cut. I had a long, thin piece of hardwood that I used for the tambour armrest, And so I was repurposing this for basically another type of armrest. Let's cut this sucker. In the last couple of hours, I've started to feel a little bit yuck. And that might mean that I could be getting a cold. And I didn't quite feel off this morning. I actually felt quite fine this morning. Those all had to be cut, so I had a straight edge against every single piece of wood because I'm going to glue them together, and the straighter they are, the better it glues together. No gaps. And of course the Terminator came out. Generally when I see myself packing up and going back inside, I think that I might be worried about rain. I'm not too sure. I think I might have finished for the day because I wasn't feeling well. Righty-ho. Okay, now we kind of have to work out how do we glue this together. I'm thinking glue the whole thing and then cut it up. But of course, I need something to glue it on. Second problem is there really a second problem? That's the other problem. So the real problem is, well, one of them, no, bugger it. We're going to go and get some baking paper. Squeeze in here. Okay, this might be the this is it for the. I was at the supermarket the other day and I was like, I should get more baking paper because we might need it for cooking. And that's literally what I'm gonna need tonight. I'm using the baking paper as a backing so that the glue doesn't stick to either my work surface or anything else. If I raise this, I'm gonna need something there and there. Baking paper is a really good protector in that glue just doesn't stick to it as well, or if it does stick, you can peel it off. We'll probably go 2 top, 1 middle. Gonna use this. You can see here that this has got a big hole in it. I'll show you that. It's got a knot and the knot came out. So I don't really have to do too much here. I'm just going to give it a bit of glue, lay it all down, and then clamp it up. I don't think this one's a particularly difficult glue up, to be honest. I mean, the famous last words, right? Drop all the glue down. I just put glue on one side that I didn't need to. That's perfect, isn't it? I'm not thinking, I'm talking. Okay, well, that was a terrible start. I just got glue all over a piece of wood that I didn't want to get glue on. And glue always smells like vinegar. I spread all the glue, lay it all down, and then I clamp it up, trying to get that clamping pressure nice and even. And then I clean up the glue squeeze out just so that it's not a mess the following day when I've got to sand it all out. When you glue things together, you don't really want to absolutely screw it together because then you push all the glue out, but then other times you don't want it too loose because too loose means it's more glue. It takes a bit of time to kind of work out that right pressure. Right, well, there you go. It is currently drying now. Stage 1 is finished. We are going to let this dry. Once it's dry, we can measure it out and then cut it up to the right pieces, similar to this here. It'll be, you know, basically like that. I've joined this together with screws, but of course I'm not going to be using screws on this. I am going to use a router to create some fingers to join them together. I don't know how successful that will be. I've never tried it before. hopefully it works, and if it does, then cool, and if it doesn't, sucks to be me. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow in a different coloured shirt, and maybe a haircut. I just got back from the dentist and they put a new crown on my tooth, and now I've got to go back and do more editing to finish this video. Hopefully you enjoy it. I really can't talk particularly well right now. The plan was that afternoon go and get a haircut, but like I said before, I actually wasn't feeling well, so I ended up not going to get my haircut. Had a bit of a sleep, woke up the next morning, felt a lot better. So I decided to carry on with the work. Had a couple of cups of coffee, had a couple of cups of coffee, and then got started. Then we will just demonstrate soon. I can't really get the S part. Can't really get it. Day 2 on the armrest protector. I might come up with a better name, not entirely sure. But anyway, we're going to take this out of the clamp. It's been sitting in here overnight. Clamps. And it's one of the great things about having a small shed is that you're actually not too far away from everything, and that's kind of why I stand here, because I can grab everything relatively quickly. The good thing about what we did yesterday is that I don't think it was warped too much. It has got a bit of a bend in it. This edge here is there's quite a lip here. Because this is hardwood, it's very difficult to sand, and sanding that out could actually take a bit of time. Kind of why I need a planer, but I don't have one. I've only got the really terrible one, the Trojan. How do we proceed? Well, we will cut this. Now we can actually cut it in on the what is this thing called? Miter saw. We can cut it on the miter saw because the reach is long enough. All in armrests, I know they break it one. I am a far better singer. Oh, that was nice. At this point I had one long flat piece of wood, and then I needed to recut it so I had 3 relatively even amounts of wood. One of the great things about being able to cut wood in the shed, obviously it means that there's less noise to annoy my neighbours, but it also means that I can run the vacuum and keep it all clean, but it also means dust goes everywhere. And so I'm always unsure as to whether to do it in here or to do it outside. If it's raining outside, I'm always in here. Here I am essentially squaring off each end because I simply want everything to be the same length. And the simplest way to do that with a wonderful miter saw is to stack them all up and then make a cut. And then try and keep them all together, flip them around, and then cut the other side. And then you basically have 2 sides that are all dead straight and parallel to each other. And then I just checked for square, and it was pretty good. La 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 la. So now stage 2 is joining these two pieces together. And that is where this comes into play. So the idea is to basically create finger joints. So finger joints along here, finger joints along here, and then they will match up. What I need to do is work out a way to make the joints fit. Now there's online calculators. That just means that I have to work something out. You can use dividers. I don't have dividers. Dividers are like that you set the distance. It's like a not a protractor, compass, not a compass. It's basically, you know, those two little prongs, and they've got like, and then you can change the angle, and then you can walk them, and that's kind of the idea. You kind of set the distance and you walk along here. What we are trying to do is, rather than use the layout to determine where we're going to go, we're going to make a template, put something like this on the base of the router, and then we're going to use a block of wood in here, and so we'll put a router bit that's the same thickness as the piece of wood that I put there, and then maybe the distance between the edge of the router and the edge of the piece of wood is the same distance. You've got the router, there's a gap, and then there's this piece. You run it through on the edge, so the edge of the wood goes along here. So here there will be a gap, and then there will be the routed edge, and then you put that routed edge into the slot, and then do the gap again. Now I've never done this before, so in order for me to do it, I'm going to have to make up a template, put it all together, and then try it numerous times to figure out whether it's going to work. I am going to have some lunch. It'll be chicken. I had chicken, and funnily enough, I'm going to have chicken today as well. I came back from my chicken lunch, and then I pulled out my router bits. I keep forgetting the name of them, and I realized that they were all quite dirty, so I decided to give them all a bit of a clean. The purpose of giving them a clean is to basically get the crud away from the cutting edge. It can make it cut a little better. It's quite similar to circular saws. They tend to perform a little bit better when they're cleaner. Most of my proof is anecdotal. I have about 3 different saw blades, and they're all pretty much as blunt as each other. But when I give them a clean, they seem to get a cleaner cut. And the camera died, and I only noticed it because I couldn't see the little tally light. That little light. I also have the red border around the view screen, the viewfinder. Unfortunately, this camera obliterates the footage if the camera dies while it's recording and doesn't have time to save to the memory card. So that meant that I lost all of that footage plus the microphone. When you are putting in a, what are these? When you're putting in a router bit, don't jam it all the way down in there. Bring it up a bit and make sure that there's a gap so that it gets its connection in the right place. So I need to tighten it, which basically means I need to turn it this way. So I need to turn, that tightens it. put it in there. I'm not going to do it like this because I could slip and I could cut myself. I'm going to go closer in, so I've got a smaller gap, and then I can just go tight like that. And it honestly, it doesn't have to be mega tight. You don't want to, you just want to do it a small amount. I also bought a special degreasing spray, which is pretty good for getting off that horrible sap that's on those router bits. I have this, but I also have this, which I have never used. This is a Makita plunge base. I've had this for a few years now, and I have never used it. Why? Well, when I bought it, I originally thought, man, I'm going to be using this all the time. I thought that it's such an amazing thing. I'm going to, do all of this cool routing, and basically, I didn't. It's a lot better. The springing motion's a lot better than a lot of the other ones that I've used. So I'm either going to use that. This would be slightly harder to kind of get plate in there. But remember, we've got to I need a piece of wood that's the right thickness. So it's basically got to be 20 mil square, and then the depth goes to 20 mil. This base plate will just make it, and this base plate, and that looks like it's just going to be right on the edge. If I make one of these, it's going to have to be bigger. Or do I 3D print it? I reckon we make it out of wood first, give it a go. We will start that tomorrow, I think, because I think the day has ended. I am getting tired. Well, we will continue this difficult decision making tomorrow. We will attempt to make a 20 by 20 mil piece of wood and then make a base plate that's bigger than this. And then we will give it a crack. I take my time with this sort of stuff. I don't speed. Speed is not me. Till tomorrow. And there we go. I have just spent 2 days getting to a point where I've got 3 pieces of wood and not much else. And you're probably thinking, my gosh, it took him 2 whole days to cut a piece of wood into 3, which essentially is what I did. Of course, I did glue. I did glue 2 or 3 pieces together. Maybe there was 5. The reality of doing some of these projects is that you kind of have to make really slow steps, because I don't necessarily know how a lot of the things that I'm doing are going to come together. The rest of trying to put everything together, cutting things and moving things around and cleaning up and all that sort of stuff, that's the thing that takes most of the time when you're doing any kind of project. So join me next week where we continue on with our first attempt on making these fingers. And it is a bit of a challenge. It sounded really, really simple. I thought I could simply make some sort of fence for my router and cut, and it should just work. I'm not entirely sure that I can cut through this oak, and I could see all the little water spots falling on the equipment. I was like, Well, now I have to go and get a crown put in my tooth with some pain. I'm also blinded by this light because this eye is still mending. I hope to see you next week, and if you could do me a favor, give the video a like and If you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Have a good week.